Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you this afternoon, which this is going to be a premiere video for the 19th, so hopefully you'll enjoy this premiere video. It's probably going to premiere at like 1 or so. So this is for Within Temptation's newest album, Bleed Out, that I got a chance to listen to real early to see what I was going to think of this album. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for all 11 songs, which 7 of the songs we've already heard out of the 11. The only ones we haven't heard is We Go to War, Worth Dying For, Cyanide Love, and Unbroken. Those were the only ones we haven't listened to. And now, since this week is album release for this album, I wanted to review this because this was an album I wanted to review. So let's dive right into this Within Temptation Bleed Out album review. So basically it starts with the opening track, We Go to War. Solid start to the album. I just don't think I like it all that much. I think it's alright for what it is. Sharon's vocals sound pretty good, but it's just the overall sound to the track. I don't know if it interests me how it was. It sounded a little rebellious of a track, and I don't know, I just was like, it's fine for what it is. So 4.5 out of 5. It's not my favorite, but it's not bad. So Bleed Out was actually a pretty solid track too. I think it's gonna get a 4.5 out of 5. I don't hate this song that much. I just think it's a good track. It's kind of grew apart from this song a bit for one reason, because I don't know, Sharon's vocals sound great in this song, but the overall track with its mixing and production is just hit or miss, so I don't know if I like it too much. 4.5 out of 5. Then comes Wireless, which is a great track. I really like this song with how it sounds overall, so I'd give this a 5 out of 5 too. I think it sounded pretty good with the overall sound. And Sharon's vocals sounded really amazing. And I really enjoyed this track, so 5 out of 5. Worth Dying For is a pretty rockin' track. Sharon's vocals sound amazing in this song, and I just really like the overall mixing and production for the track. It did pretty well, so 5 out of 5 for this one. Then comes Ritual, the last single we got for this pretty much album before the album came out. Wireless was a single too, just so you know. It came out back in May, but pretty much Ritual was a great song. I really like the mixing to it. I probably like this more than Bleed Out. Bleed Out, the title track, isn't bad, but it's not my favorite. I just haven't really come back to it all that much. It's a track I kind of like, but then I have my critiques about. So basically 5 out of 5 for Ritual. The production's pretty good, and it's grown on me a lot more than Bleed Out has. Cyanide Love is another solid track. It starts off weird with how it says Cyanide Love, and that's the cringy part to it with the intro part, and to continue forward, the song did alright. So I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's another solid track for what it went for. The Purge was one of the singles that came out in 2022, and I think it's a pretty strong, or I think it was like 2020 or so. It came out around the time Entertain You came out, or something like that. It was a little while ago, like 2020, 2021. So my mistake if I said 2022. It's the next song that did come out that year. So basically, 5 out of 5 for The Purge. I really enjoyed this track. It definitely rocks for sure too. Don't Pray For Me is a pretty strong track. Sharon's vocals sound amazing in this song, and I just like the overall mixing and production in it, and the drum work and guitar work is outstanding in this track. So, really good track, 5 out of 5. Then comes Shed My Skin featuring Anna Soke. This one was actually pretty good. I actually enjoyed this track with how it sounded overall, so 5 out of 5. Wasn't really hating this song for how it sounded. And Sharon and the feature artist's vocals There's two members of Anasoke that sounded really good with their vocals, so I was really impressed. 5 out of 5. Unbroken is the second to last song before you get to the closing track, Entertain You, and that was the first single to come out for this album's release, which I'm going to be talking about some things that I'll have my critiques about towards before I rate the album overall. So, Unbroken is a favorite of mine. I really like how it sounds overall, and just Sharon's vocals sound really amazing. So, 5 out of 5. It's a 5-minute track, but it does get the job done with how it sounds overall, vocally, instrumentally, and production and mixing wise is pretty good. Entertain You was actually a pretty good song that came out in May of 2020, and I really enjoyed this track. There's a guy singing in it, probably the guitarist or whatever. I can't remember. I know I did that track review like almost 4 years ago. So, yeah, it's been a while since that song's been out. It's been 3 years and 5 months. So almost 3.5 years since I reviewed that song. So pretty much, I shouldn't say 4 years, but next May it would be 4 years. But still, 5 out of 5 for this track and closing track to the album, and pretty good. So overall, production, mixing, and execution wise, here's my biggest critique for this album that really ruined the rating. 7 out of 11 songs. We had singles from Within Temptation, starting with Entertain You all the way to Ritual. And they have not announced this album. They should have at least announced this album back in 2021 or 2022. Mostly 2022, like early 2022 at least. Then I would have been a little impressed more with the album. But since they waited all the way to the fourth quarter of 2023, I was really disappointed that they dropped 7 out of 11 songs. That's almost 3/4 of the album that we've already heard already. So yeah, they've released single after single for the past 3.5 years until releasing this album, which does come out this Friday, October 20th. I am very disappointed that they did that, but overall I think the album is pretty good. Would I say it's my favorite album this year? It is, to a degree, but that's my biggest critique. Too many singles spoils the album and ruins the hype for it. And that is why, for an overall score, I'm going to give Within Temptation Bleed Out an 8.5 out of 10. Pretty good album, but yeah, I think for the next album cycle Within Temptation, I think you should try to release at least 3 or 4 singles out of a 11 or 12 track album. Keep in mind, this is an 11 track album, so it's not a lot you're getting for this album. It is almost a 50-minute album, but basically it ruins the hype for the album when you have so many singles before album release. That really ruins and spoils the album and ruins the hype for it. And that is the biggest problem I have with some bands that do that nowadays. But it still performed pretty well. So 8.5 out of 10 for Within Temptation Bleed Out for this album review. Thank you guys for watching this album review this afternoon.